Hello, it's Dale Snyder with the Snyder Group from RE/MAX Central here in Las Vegas. I have Han, a real estate attorney, with me today. Thank you for your time, Han.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you bet. Well, today's topic of discussion is the short sale process and the legal implications. I think the easiest way to break this down is going to give two scenarios, since every scenario is going to vary, right? And we really just need to have a consultation, with the client so we can really assess the situation they're in.
Absolutely.
Okay, but for this video, let's use two scenarios. So the first scenario, Han, say it's a client of ours that's 4 months behind on their mortgage,
okay,
and they're headed down the road of either foreclosure or short sale. Can they do a short sale? I guess is a good place to start.
Absolutely. Most likely, if you miss about 3 months of mortgage payments, the banks most likely are initiating the foreclosure process. So don't lose any more time. Contact your real estate professional, especially Dale Snyder, to
Thank you.
talk about the short sale process. And what's going to happen is, even if you have a notice of default, which is the initiation of a foreclosure, it's still possible. There's still enough time to do a short sale. Because at the end of the day, the bank wants more money for your property than a foreclosure. Typically short sale properties and foreclosed properties, huge difference, about 30% different. And if you'll be willing to work with the bank to get them the best possible price, most likely they'll grant you a short sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, so in summary, there's a high likelihood the short sale would go through because there's a benefit to the bank for doing it. Because they're going to get more money than the property going to foreclosure.
Absolutely, and every case is different. The bank's going to look at several factors. They're going to look at your income. They're going to look at your savings. They're going to look at your tax for the last 2 years. They want to make sure that you have a legitimate hardship, and whether that's an increase in expense or a decrease in income, any of those factors will qualify you to do a short sale.
Yeah, medical, death in the family. I mean, there's different ways of hardships, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when the short sale is initiated and done with the bank, different banks have different policies. And even these banks, they don't initiate their own policies either, because sometimes they have to follow the policies of their investors. And in this case, the investors are basically the note holder. The bank may be just a servicing bank, and there's someone who owns the note behind the bank. That could be mortgage-backed securities. It could be a private individual. It could even be a portfolio loan, Bank of America. So when you do the short sale, all of those things will be laid out on the table, and the terms will be discussed so that at the end of the day, you'll get a deficiency waiver, hopefully.
Yes.
Because every situation is unique, so you really should initiate that instead of going through and letting the house go into foreclosure.
Okay. All right, we'll get into the deficiency here in a moment, but I'd like to move on to another scenario. Let's say it's a client of ours that is current on their mortgage.
Right.
They make over 100 grand a year.
Right.
What's the situation for them? Can they do a short sale? How would...
It really depends. I know it's a typical attorney answer, but in this situation, a lot of the banks and investors, they have different policies for those situations. Our law firm just finished with a transaction for U.S. Bank that it's a U.S. Bank portfolio loan.
Okay. And
the homeowner was able to finish the short sale while being current.
Okay.
And I believe his credit score was impacted very minimally after the process is complete. So once again, they should really contact you to initiate the short sale process so that you can find out what the bank's policies are, what the investor's policies are, and some of them do allow you to go through the short sale while being current. And one caveat to those homeowners is that in closing, most likely the bank will ask for some type of contribution, and that's anywhere from 5% to 15% of the deficiency.
Okay, that's deficiency, meaning the amount the bank is losing in the sale.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and
got it.
that contribution would typically we would negotiate that for that contribution. In lieu of that contribution, the homeowner would get a complete waiver of the remaining amount.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Oppose that with your first scenario, in that the homeowner missed payments, doesn't have a lot of money in the bank, checking, savings account, money market accounts. Those type of clients, we're able to negotiate for a full deficiency waiver more often than not.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but of course, every situation is very unique.
Yeah.
So we can't sit here and promise that every homeowner out there that wants to go through a short sale will get a complete deficiency waiver. That's not the case.
Yeah,
you should know that.
Understand.
There's a lot of different factors and variables involved.
Okay. All right. So I have a question. As far as finding out, well, let me back up here. What I've heard is that a lot of the loans are sold into mortgage-backed securities, and the only way to get them out to do a short sale is for the owner to default. So clients of ours that are trying to remain current, to find out if the investor behind the bank, the servicer, will allow the short sale. How do we go about that?
Well, to find out the identity of the investors behind the bank, the homeowner can do a written request to the bank itself.
Okay.
And find that out, or they can contact their team, and you will be able to find out that investor. I mean, there's softwares out there that you can find out through the mortgage recording system. Some of them are private identity,
Okay.
and however, it does not impede them from doing the short sale, because most likely when you initiate the short sale and you come in with an offer and all the necessary paperwork in place,
Okay.
the bank and the investor immediately will tell you what their policies are,
Okay.
whether or not your homeowner can qualify to do a short sale.
Okay.
So
And immediately, I always get a little leery in short sale time. Immediately could be a month. So what are we talking as far as time for that response on an average?
typically a turnaround time to say that the homeowner can qualify to do a short sale is typically about 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Typically,
Okay.
and
So
the
pretty
entire
quick.
transaction, on average, it's anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, depending on the bank.
Yeah.
Some banks are faster. Some banks are slower. U.S. banks, very slow.
Yeah.
That I know for a fact. Other banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America,
Yeah.
they have systems in place, such as the Equator system, that where document collection and turnaround time is very quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think your team turns around a lot faster than the typical short sale team out there.
Yeah, we get some of ours closed within 30 days of getting the offer.
Wow.
But the banks, they've gotten a lot better. They're more on board with the short sale. 4 years ago, when we started doing short sales, we'd submit an offer just to wait 8 months to get the rejection.
Right.
So things have changed a lot.
Absolutely.
With the bank and their support staff and how they operate. Well, thank you for giving a summary on that. So I have another question is, what exposure do both scenarios that I gave you have as far as with the IRS per se?
Well, let's go with the scenario one, in that
Okay.
if we're able to secure a full deficiency waiver for the client, most likely the bank will turn around and issue you a 1099-C. And
Okay.
that's forgiveness of debt.
Okay.
And typically, forgiveness of debt will count as income. Okay. However, if it's a primary residence, if the homeowner lives in the property, it's covered right now by the 2007 Debt Forgiveness Act, and it's set to expire in 2012.
Okay.
And the entire amount that would typically be taxable income is waived. You just have
Got
to do
it,
an additional
okay.
form, and you can contact Dale's team, and they will talk to you further about that.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the second scenario?
If it's if it's an investment property and it's not your primary residence,
Okay.
so I don't think it's associated with an individual who's still current on the mortgage. I want to talk about
Okay, got it.
investment property
Okay.
instead.
That makes sense.
If it's an investment property, then most likely there's exclusions out there. Okay, it really depends. So you should really talk to your CPA to talk about possible exclusions to certain write-offs that you will not have to pay for the full amount of forgiveness of debt as income.
Okay, got it. All right, and then the question that I get a lot and I'm sure you do as well, is why should I do the short sale? What's the benefit?
Well, with the short sale, everything's on the table. You can negotiate with the bank. Most likely your realtor and your attorney will negotiate with the bank, and everything is laid out for you. You will know exactly whether you have a deficiency or not, whether or not there's a possible waiver of a deficiency, whether you owe any amount. All of that is out there on the table for you, all the terms. With a foreclosure, you most likely don't have contact with the bank.
Yeah.
It's possible that they could sell your bad debt to a third-party debt collection agency that could collect on you. So, in addition to that, the credit impact would also be a lot less in the short sale.
Yeah.
Of course, you and I don't know the formula to the credit agency, so
yeah.
we can't give out the exact amount of a credit impact, but it's definitely a lot less in the foreclosure.
Yeah.
And with a lot of banks out there, with a lot of mortgage banks like FHA or Fannie and Freddie, they have different policies regarding short sales. If you're able to go through a short sale and you have extenuating circumstances that forces you to do a short sale, you can turn around and purchase another home on credit with Fannie and Freddie in 24 months.
Yeah.
So it's a lot shorter amount of time than a foreclosed property.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then depending on the loans and the situation, I mean, you know, I know in some instances it can be several years that the bank could come after you with the foreclosure, whereas in the short sale, you know, we can get the release on that or attempt to get the release.
Oh, I think you're alluding to the fact that maybe the home has 2 mortgages.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
In such a situation, typically the foreclosing bank, their statute of limitations are basically the time that they can go after you to sue you to collect on the debt. It's typically about 6 months. The non-foreclosing bank, their time to go after you is 6 years.
6 years.
And that's a long time.
Yeah.
I've actually filed several bankruptcy for clients because they didn't address that at all. They thought they can just foreclose the property and not worry about it at all. And the second turnaround within about 14 months and sued them on the home equity line of credit. That's typically the second mortgage.
Yeah. Got it.
And for protection, they filed bankruptcy with my law firm.
Yeah.
And with the short sale, you can address that.
Yeah.
It's on the table. You basically talk to the bank, especially, well, our team will talk to the bank regarding whether homeowner have to contribute a certain amount of money, or whether they waive it without any contribution at all, or whether the homeowner can qualify for the government subsidy program. It's the Home Affordable Foreclosure Alternative, and that will guarantees them a deficiency waiver on the first and the second.
Yeah.
And not everybody qualifies for that, but
yeah, tight criteria.
Definitely talk to your team, and your team can pre-qualify the homeowners right away, and that's typically the benefit of doing the short sale as opposed to a foreclosure.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful information. You know, obviously we just gave a brief overview. Yeah. You know, what we recommend is a consultation where we can look at each case by case and advise you best on, you know, what's the best option for you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you for listening.
You bet. Thank you for your time, and have a great day. And oh, before I forget, you can find us on our website at dalesnyder.net. You can find Han there, myself, and we look forward to assisting you in any way possible. Have a great day.